Hey Wikihunters, welcome back to the Art of Photography podcast where we share our passion and we share how photography gives us hope, purpose, and happiness to our life. So, welcome back to this episode, and I'm so excited to have you here again. We just had a chat with Will. Actually, this was pre-recorded. Will was actually my very first podcast recording, believe it or not. And yeah, he's a brand ambassador here in Big Tree, Ski Big Tree in Canadian Rockies, and that's what he do. He go out almost every single day or every opportunity that he got and shoot action photography and lifestyle photography of people skiing around the resort. So, what does it really take to do an action photography? Well, I do a little bit of action photography as well. Not as much, not to the extent that Will does it. He does it a lot more than I do, and definitely, he shares some of the gear. One of my favorite gear to shoot, if you listen to the podcast, which I kind of mentioned as well, is having that 2470. I think it's nice and versatile, and also have nice sharpness to it. If you have the 24 to 105, assuming you're shooting Canon, obviously. If you have the 24 to 105, it has a better range, but for that reason, you lose a little bit more of that sharpness. Now, the other lens that I love shooting with is the 70-200 lens because it allows you to shoot for a lot further, and that way you could actually follow through with the action or all the twists and turns of your subject. So, what did you think of that podcast? I really would like to hear feedback, and this is something that I kind of start doing ever since I started, was to give this kind of my take, call it my take Thursday, but it's not necessarily happening on Thursday. Usually it's between Friday and Thursday, so it really depends on how things are. But yeah, basically this episode is just to share with you a little bit about my take on that whole conversation. Obviously, within that conversation, we talk a lot about every different things, right? We talk about who are my guests, where they're from. In this example, we talk about Will and what he does, and how he got into photography. That's something that I usually talk or ask my guests about, and also why they do what they do in terms of photography niche. And yeah, I would like to know if that is part of the things that you like to listen to, or if there is some other thing that you'd like me to cover. Please feel free to leave it in the comment, or even send me an email or a direct message either in Facebook or Instagram. Now, yeah, it was really nice to have Will over, and he definitely have the eye for it. He can, one of the big thing, if the listeners, or if you're listening and you have subscribed or bought my course, the 3PMP method, I talked through about the three keys to unlock your photography, which is light, timing, and placement. And this three keys is really important, especially in sports photography, because or action photography, because things happen so quickly, and if you don't have the right timing, or if you're not there at the right time, or you don't have the right placement where you place your subject, or placing yourself to get that vantage point, then you will lose a moment. This is really important in action photography. In terms of light, like, what sort of light you want to get, or what sort of light you want your subject to get, I suppose. When you shoot it, do you want to have the backlit? Do you want to have the sun shimmering your subject? All these things will create a different mood, because it will create different light, and therefore it will create different luminosity as well as different colors, and how the colors perceived by our eyes or by the viewer's eyes, right? So really really important for you to consider that when you if you're gonna try or do some action and sports photography. Some of the other things that I would like to kind of bring up from that episode was the fact that there was two things, and this comes back a lot to a lot of the themes. You might hear this over and over again, and I guess it's really important for you to remember. He said that sometimes you have these beautiful lights coming through, and sometimes the timing wasn't just right and you kind of miss that shot. But more importantly is that don't get discouraged with that, but just enjoy the show, have enjoy the experience. He talked about that time when he was on the chairlift, and then he saw these really really beautiful moments, but because he wasn't at the right time at the right place, he wasn't able to capture what he experienced. Now, one thing that photography, for me, and I think for most people, and probably for you too, is that is a way for us to capture the experiences and the moments that we either see or that we have experienced, right? And for that reason, it becomes kind of a way to preserve that moments, or I like to call it sometimes like a trophy, like you go through all this journey and then you capture it, and then that's a trophy for me to remember that journey by. But at the same time, it's important that you don't miss that translation, you don't miss that journey, because that journey is the most important part. Yes, that's great, you get to capture that beautiful image, but at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy that journey, it's all a waste. And the second thing is, capture things that are precious to you. He was mentioning about capturing one of his friends' baby who was there on the slope, and it was first time he was up there. That was such a precious moment. Just give me a sec. Wow, I'm getting goosebumps to say that. Yeah, that was such a precious moments there. At the end of the day, creating a photograph that is beautiful, that will get likes, is important, but it's also important to relate back to you personally on what you really like to do photography for. What do you want to do photography for? So it's really interesting that he mentioned that in during our chat, because he's an action photographer, right? He go out there to take photo of people skiing and snowboarding, but he doesn't forget that core fundamental of the importance of to him and all that. So just a nice reminder for you to, yeah, don't forget all that. Like, it's not always about these stunning photos that will get you likes on Instagram, on Facebook, or even win awards. Don't get me wrong, I'm on both sides of this. Sometimes I do one for the other as well. So it was actually a really good reminder every time I hear that again. So yeah, just a friendly reminder that. But hopefully you enjoy that podcast, and yeah, that was a lot of fun talking to especially a local photographer like Will, who have been here for a while, and then he does this every single year. It's his passion. He carry all those gears uphill every single time. So it's very inspiring to be able to see that and to hear some of his struggles that he have to fight with. It was really funny when he was saying about Sometimes he'd rather just finish his sandwich so he can grab the extra camera geared up to the mountain or whatnot. So yeah, I guess that is photography, and that's that's where our passion, and that's when you're passionate about the things that you love, you do things above and beyond, and for him this was it. So thanks a lot for listening, Wiki Hunters, and yeah, please leave me a comment, give me a feedback. Send me an email, send me a DM, whichever ways that works for you. No, it's not a marketing gimmick. I really, truly just want to hear, especially on a podcast that's fairly new. I'd like to know that I am serving you, the audience, that I'm helping you. Also, I would love to hear some of the questions from you guys. What are some of the questions you want to hear from these guests? Always try to find engaging ways to ask them, and try to find a different ways of or a different a more unique question than what they used to be asked. So if you have anything that you came out with or that you thought of, please don't hesitate and send that through to me. Yeah, but in the meantime, hopefully you guys have a great weekend. It's crazy. It's like what, 3 weeks to 2021, so we can put 2020 behind us. And yeah, like don't forget to subscribe. If you do enjoy this podcast, feel free to share it to those that might also find inspiration from from this, who might get inspired from this podcast. Sorry. Well, that is it for me for today, and hopefully you guys are tuning in for next week episode. I've already pre-recorded some of very exciting guests, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy this. Well, thank you very much, Wiki Hunters, and I'll see you until next time. Peace out.